December 1st, 2016. The polls have just closed across the Gambia. In a mansion overlooking the Atlantic Ocean, a man sits alone. He wears his military uniform, though he hasn't fought a real battle in over 2 decades. The medals on his chest clink softly as he shifts in his chair. Outside, the sun is setting over Banjul, painting the sky the color of dried blood. Yahya Jammeh is waiting. He has ruled this country for 22 years. 22 years of absolute power. 22 years of fear. And tonight, for the first time since he seized control in a bloodless coup back in 1994, the people of the Gambia are voting on whether he should continue. But Yahya Jammeh is not worried. He has never lost before. He has never allowed himself to lose. He picks up his phone, makes a call. His voice is calm, measured. What are the numbers? On the other end, silence. Then a cough. A hesitation that lasts just a moment too long. Mr. President, it's not looking. Jammeh hangs up. He stands, walks to the window. Below him, the streets are empty. Too empty. The kind of empty that happens when people are holding their breath. When an entire nation is waiting to see if hope is real or just another lie they've told themselves to survive. In that moment, Yahya Jammeh realizes something he has never truly considered before. He might actually lose. And if he loses, everything comes out. Everything he's buried. Every secret. Every body. The sun disappears below the horizon. Darkness falls. And the beginning of the end has already started. To understand what happened on December 1st, 2016, you have to go back. You have to go back to a country so small that most people couldn't find it on a map. A sliver of land cutting through Senegal like a wound. The Gambia, named after the river that runs through it like a vein. 300 miles long, never more than 30 miles wide. The British called it a peculiar country. A mistake of colonial map-making. Too small to be profitable. Too poor to matter. When independence came in 1965, the Gambia was left with almost nothing. No resources. No industry. Just peanuts and tourism and a population that grew faster than the economy ever could. For the first 30 years of independence, the Gambia was ruled by Sir Dawda Jawara, a veterinarian turned politician. A man who believed in democracy even when it was inconvenient, even when it was dangerous. And then came July 22nd, 1994. A Thursday morning. The air thick with humidity. The kind that makes your clothes stick to your skin before you've even left your house. A convoy of military vehicles rolls through Banjul. No sirens. No announcements. Just the rumble of engines and the squeak of wheels on hot pavement. At the head of this convoy is a young lieutenant, 29 years old. Tall. Thin, with eyes that seem to look through you rather than at you. His name is Yahya Jammeh. He has 4 other officers with him. Young men. Ambitious men. Men who are tired of watching politicians get rich while soldiers go unpaid. They have planned this for weeks in secret meetings held in the dark. They have exactly 19 soldiers with them. 19 men to overthrow a government. It should have been impossible. But President Jawara is out of the country. And the soldiers who might have resisted are confused, disorganized, caught completely off guard. Within hours, it's over. The government has fallen. The radio station is broadcasting military music. And Yahya Jammeh is on national television, wearing his uniform, his voice steady and strong. Fellow Gambians, he says, the military has taken control to end corruption and mismanagement. We are here to clean the house. We will hand power back to civilians soon. Very soon. He promises elections within months. He promises transparency. He promises everything will be better. In the streets of Banjul, some people celebrate. They are tired of the old government. Tired of poverty. Tired of watching the same faces get rich while they struggle to feed their children. This young lieutenant seems different. Fresh. Uncorrupted. They don't know who he really is yet. Nobody does. Not even Yahya Jammeh himself. The first few months are almost normal. Jammeh creates a transitional government. He appears on television regularly, speaking about the future, about development, about pride, about making the Gambia great. But something else is happening behind the scenes. The old government officials are being arrested, one by one, charged with corruption, with theft, with betraying the nation. Some of them are guilty. Many are not. It doesn't matter. The message is clear. The old order is gone. Anyone who was part of it is now a target. Then the journalists start disappearing. Not all at once. Slowly. Carefully. A reporter here. An editor there. People who ask too many questions. People who write articles that make Jammeh look bad. They are called in for questioning. Some come back. Some don't. One journalist named Data Haidara will later refuse to stop writing the truth. He publishes articles criticizing Jammeh's government, calling out corruption, demanding accountability. On December 16, 2004, he is driving home from his office. It's late. The streets are dark. A car pulls up beside him at an intersection. Windows roll down. Gunfire shatters the night. 56 bullets tear through his vehicle. Data Haidara dies before the ambulance arrives. He is 58 years old. A husband. A father. A man who believed words were more powerful than bullets. He was wrong. The investigation into his murder goes nowhere. No suspects. No arrests. Just silence. The kind of silence that speaks louder than any confession. And everyone in the Gambia understands, this is not a transitional government anymore. This is a dictatorship. And Yahya Jammeh is not a liberator. He is something far worse. But to maintain power in a country where you have no legitimate claim, you need more than fear. You need mythology. You need people to believe you're not just powerful, but special, chosen, blessed. Yahya Jammeh understands this instinctively. He begins making claims. Strange claims. He says he has visions. Dreams sent by God. He says he can cure AIDS with a mixture of herbs and prayer. He claims he can cure asthma in 3 days. Infertility. Hypertension. Any disease you can name. On state television, he holds healing sessions. Sick people are brought before him. He touches their foreheads, chants in languages nobody recognizes, declares them cured. The international community is horrified. The World Health Organization issues statements. Medical professionals call it dangerous pseudoscience. People will die because they stop taking real medication to follow Jammeh's treatments. But in the Gambia, many people believe. Because they need to believe. Because if this man can cure AIDS with his bare hands, then maybe he really is special. Maybe God really did choose him to lead. Maybe questioning him is not just dangerous, it's blasphemy. Jammeh also claims he will rule for 1 billion years. He says this on television with a straight face. He says Allah told him personally that he will remain president until he decides to step down. Not the people. Not elections. Him. I will deliver this country to the Gambians and that is final, he declares. Whether you like it or not. And if you don't like it, then you disappear. By 2005, Yahya Jammeh has been in power for 11 years. He has won 2 elections, though nobody believes they were fair. Opposition candidates are harassed. Their supporters intimidated. Ballot boxes are stuffed. The results are never in doubt. But there are people who still resist. People who refuse to bow. People who believe that tyranny cannot last forever. One of these people is a journalist named Chief Ebram Amane. He works for a small newspaper. Writes articles criticizing the government. In July 2006, he is arrested by plainclothes security agents. He is taken to an unknown location. His family searches for him. They file complaints. They beg for information. The government denies ever arresting him. Chief Ebrima Manne is never seen again. His fate remains unknown to this day. Some say he died in custody. Some say he was taken across the border and executed. Some say he's still alive somewhere, locked in a cell that officially doesn't exist. His mother dies without ever knowing what happened to her son. This is the pattern now. People vanish. Not in large numbers. Jammeh is too smart for that. Just enough to keep everyone afraid. Just enough to make sure that when you consider speaking out, you think about Chief Ebrima Manne, about Data Haidara, about all the others whose names are whispered but never shouted. And you stay silent. You survive. But it's not just journalists and activists who suffer. In 2005, 56 Ghanaian and Nigerian migrants are arrested on suspicion of being mercenaries planning a coup. There is no evidence, no trial, just accusations. They are taken to a forest. On July 23, 2005, somewhere in the dense bush outside Banjul, they are executed. 44 Ghanaians, 12 Nigerians. Some are shot. Some have their throats cut. Some are burned alive. Their bodies are buried in unmarked graves. For years, the Gambian government denies this ever happened. Just rumors, they say. Lies spread by enemies of the state. But in 2009, a former member of Jammeh's hit squad comes forward. His name is Malik Jada. He is seeking asylum in the United States, and he tells investigators everything. He describes how they were ordered to kill the migrants, how they dug the graves beforehand, how some of the victims begged for their lives in languages the soldiers didn't understand, how Yahya Jammeh personally gave the order. The international community demands an investigation. Jammeh refuses. What are they going to do about it? Invade? Sanction a country that has nothing to sanction? The Gambia is too small to matter, too poor to punish. And Yahya Jammeh knows this. He is untouchable. Or so he believes. Inside the Gambia, life becomes increasingly surreal. Jammeh's paranoia grows with each passing year. He creates the National Intelligence Agency, the NIA, a secret police force that answers only to him. They wear plainclothes. They drive unmarked cars. They can arrest anyone, anywhere, at any time. There is a place called Bambadinka, a detention center in the middle of nowhere. No signs. No official acknowledgement. People taken there simply vanish from the world. No lawyers. No phone calls. No letters home. Former prisoners who survive describe cells so small you cannot lie down. Describe days without food. Describe torture methods that leave no visible scars. Electric shocks. Waterboarding. Beatings with rubber hoses. And sometimes, late at night, they hear screams from other cells. Screams that stop suddenly. Permanently. Jammeh also becomes obsessed with witchcraft. In 2009, his aunt dies. He believes she was killed by witches. He orders a nationwide witch hunt. Thousands of people, mostly elderly villagers, are rounded up. They are forced to drink a hallucinogenic concoction that makes them violently ill. Some die from the poisoning. Some go insane. All confess to being witches under duress. It sounds medieval. Absurd. Like something from centuries ago. But it's happening in 2009. In a member state of the United Nations. In a country that has embassies and attends international summits and trades with the rest of the world. And nobody stops it. By 2016, Yahya Jammeh has been president for 22 years. An entire generation has grown up knowing no other leader. The economy is in shambles. Young Gambians are fleeing across the Mediterranean in rickety boats, risking death in the sea rather than stay in Jammeh's Gambia. Those who survive the journey tell stories of a country where speaking your mind can get you killed, where the president claims to have magical powers, where fear is the only constant. But something is changing. The opposition is organizing. For years, they have been fractured, divided, fighting among themselves while Jammeh picked them off one by one. But now, Facing the 2016 election, they do something unprecedented. They unite. 7 opposition parties come together and choose one candidate, a property developer named Adama Barrow. He is not charismatic, not famous, not particularly impressive on paper, but he is clean, untainted by the corruption of the old regime. And he is not Yahya Jammeh. That alone makes him revolutionary. The campaign is tense. Jammeh's supporters attack opposition rallies. NIA agents follow Barrow everywhere. There are arrests, beatings, threats. But for the first time in 22 years, there is also hope. People are coming out to rallies. Thousands of them. Chanting, singing, wearing opposition colors even though they know it could mean detention, arrest. Worse, they are tired. So tired. Tired of being afraid. Tired of watching their country decay while Jammeh builds palaces. Tired of silence. And on December 1st, 2016, they vote. The voting happens with marbles, not paper ballots. Each candidate has a drum with their symbol on it. Voters drop a marble into the drum of their choice. The marble clinks as it falls, a sound that echoes in the polling stations like a bell tolling. Clink, clink, clink. By evening, the votes are being counted. The results are coming in faster than expected. And they are shocking. Adama Barrow is winning. Not by a little, by a lot. In Jammeh's mansion, phones are ringing off the hook. His advisors are panicking. They are suggesting strategies, demanding recounts, proposing ways to invalidate certain polling stations. But the numbers don't lie. Yahya Jammeh has lost. On December 2nd, 2016, the Electoral Commission announces the results. Adama Barrow, 43.3%. Yahya Jammeh, 39.6%. For the first time in 22 years, there will be a new president. The country erupts in celebration. People pour into the streets, dancing, crying, embracing strangers. For one brief, beautiful moment, the Gambia remembers what hope feels like. And then, something completely unexpected happens. Yahya Jammeh calls Adama Barrow. He congratulates him. "You are the elected president of the Gambia," Jammeh says on the phone. His voice is calm, almost gracious. "I will ensure a smooth transition." The call is made public. International observers are stunned. African leaders praise Jammeh for his statesmanship, for accepting the will of the people, for proving that democracy can work even in the most unlikely places. Maybe people think he has changed. Maybe 22 years of power was enough. Maybe he will go peacefully. They are wrong. 9 days pass. 9 days of celebration. 9 days of planning the transition. 9 days of believing the nightmare is finally over. And then, on December 9th, 2016, Yahya Jammeh appears on state television. He is wearing his military uniform. The medals gleam under the studio lights. His face is hard, expressionless. After a thorough investigation, he says, "I have decided to reject the results of the election." The words hang in the air like smoke. There were abnormalities, he continues. Irregularities. The election was rigged. I am still the legitimate president of the Gambia. The country freezes. The celebration stops mid-dance. Because everyone understands what this means. Jammeh is not stepping down. He never intended to step down. That phone call, that congratulations, it was all a lie, a performance, buying time while he consolidated his forces. International leaders issue statements condemning Jammeh. The African Union, the United Nations, ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States. They all demand that he respect the election results. Jammeh ignores them. Inside, the Gambia NIA starts making arrests. Opposition supporters. Anyone who celebrated too publicly. Anyone who spoke too loudly about transition. Adama Barrow goes into hiding. There are credible reports that Jammeh's forces are planning to assassinate him. The country is on the brink of civil war. But Jammeh has made a calculation error. He has assumed that the international community will do what they always do: issue statements and then forget about the Gambia. Go back to focusing on bigger countries with oil or diamonds or geopolitical importance. He is wrong. ECOWAS makes a decision. They will not allow this coup. They will not stand by and watch a dictator steal an election through intimidation and force. On January 19, 2017, one day before Barrow is supposed to be inaugurated, ECOWAS issues an ultimatum. Step down by midnight, or we will remove you by force. Senegalese troops mass at the border. Nigerian warships appear off the coast. Ghanaian forces prepare to deploy. They are calling it Operation Restore Democracy. Yahya Jammeh responds by declaring a state of emergency. He extends his term by 90 days. He claims he needs time for an investigation. He mobilizes his own forces: the National Guard, the Republican Guard, the paramilitary units he has spent years building specifically for this moment. Midnight comes. Jammeh has not stepped down. ECOWAS forces begin moving in. The invasion has begun. On January 21, 2017, Adama Barrow is inaugurated as president of the Gambia. But he is not in the Gambia. He is at the Gambian embassy in Dakar, Senegal, because Banjul is still controlled by Yahya Jammeh. And Jammeh is in his mansion, surrounded by loyalists, armed men, true believers who would rather die than see their president fall. For 3 days, the Gambia holds its breath. ECOWAS forces advance slowly. They don't want a massacre. They offer Jammeh one last chance to surrender, to leave with dignity, with immunity from prosecution. Behind the scenes, international mediators are working frantically, making phone calls, offering deals. Guinea offers Jammeh asylum. They promise he can keep his wealth, his properties, his freedom, just not his power. Inside the mansion, Jammeh paces. He is trapped now, truly trapped. If he fights, he will lose. The ECOWAS forces are overwhelming. If he surrenders, he will spend the rest of his life in exile. A former dictator. A cautionary tale. On January 21st, he makes his decision. He will leave. But first, he loots the country one last time. The exact details come out slowly, over weeks and months, as the new government takes inventory of what Jammeh left behind. He emptied the national treasury. $11 million. Gone. Transferred to foreign accounts or loaded into vehicles and driven across the border. He stole cars from the state motor pool. Luxury vehicles. Armored SUVs. Entire fleets disappeared in the night. He took furniture from government buildings. Art. Electronics. Anything that could be moved was moved. At the presidential palace, staff find that Jammeh has even removed light fixtures, doorknobs, anything of value. But the worst discovery comes later. In the months following Jammeh's departure, investigators find mass graves, multiple sites, scattered across the country, bodies of journalists, activists, political opponents, migrants, people who disappeared years ago and were never found. Some are identified through DNA testing. Some remain nameless. All are evidence of a regime built on terror. The true death toll of Jammeh's rule may never be known. Hundreds, possibly thousands. People who were erased from existence because they posed a threat, or because they knew too much, or because Jammeh simply could. On January 21st, 2017, Yahya Jammeh boards a private jet. He is accompanied by his wife and mother, by a few close associates, by soldiers who will follow him into exile. As the plane lifts off from Banjul International Airport, he looks down at the Gambia one last time. The country he ruled for 22 years. The country he claimed Allah had given him. The country he promised to lead for 1 billion years. From 30,000 feet, It looks peaceful, beautiful. The river cutting through green vegetation. The Atlantic Ocean stretching to the horizon. From up here, you cannot see the graves, the torture chambers, the broken families, the lost generation. From up here, you could almost believe his own mythology, that he was a healer, a visionary, a man of God. But down below, the people know better. Down below, they are dancing in the streets again. For real this time. Because the monster is gone. Because the nightmare is over. Because they survived. Yahya Jammeh lives in Equatorial Guinea now. Another dictatorship. Another country where strongmen protect each other. He has not been prosecuted. He lives comfortably on the wealth he stole. He gives occasional interviews claiming he was the victim of a Western conspiracy. That the election was rigged against him. That history will vindicate him. Meanwhile, in the Gambia Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission holds hearings. Survivors testify. Families of the disappeared tell their stories. Former soldiers confess to atrocities they committed under Jammeh's orders. One soldier describes how he was part of the Junglers, Jammeh's personal death squad. How they would receive orders directly from the president. How they would carry out executions and then go home to their families as if it was just another day at work. He describes burning bodies in the forest, dumping them in the ocean, making people disappear so thoroughly that even their own mothers wouldn't know what happened to them. He describes this while victims' families sit in the courtroom, crying, some forgiving, some demanding justice. But Yahya Jammeh is not there. He is in Equatorial Guinea, protected by diplomatic immunity and by a government that understands that today it could be Jammeh, but tomorrow it could be them. The story of Yahya Jammeh is not just about one dictator in one small African country. It is about how power corrupts, how fear becomes a tool of governance, how international institutions that claim to protect democracy often do nothing when it's inconvenient. It is about how 22 years can feel like a lifetime. How an entire generation can grow up knowing only fear. How hope can survive even in the darkest places. And it is about how the beginning of the end is never just one moment. It is not just the election on December 1st. It is every journalist who kept writing even when it meant death. It is every family who refused to forget their disappeared loved ones. It is every person who voted with trembling hands, knowing they could be arrested for it. It is every act of resistance, no matter how small. The beginning of Jammeh's end started the moment he seized power in 1994. Because from that moment, his downfall was inevitable. Not because tyrants always fall, they don't. But because he made one critical mistake. He underestimated the people he oppressed. He thought fear was enough. That if you hurt enough people, arrest enough activists, kill enough journalists, eventually everyone will submit. But there is a point, impossible to predict, impossible to control, where fear transforms into rage, where silence becomes action, where the oppressed remember that they outnumber the oppressors. Yahya Jammeh reached that point in 2016. And when he did, 22 years of power meant nothing. All the mansions, all the wealth, all the claims of magical healing and divine appointment, none of it could save him from the will of a people who had finally had enough. Today, the Gambia is still healing. The economy struggles. Democracy is fragile. The scars of Jammeh's rule run deep. But the country is free. And somewhere in Equatorial Guinea, an old man watches news reports of the Gambia. He sees the country moving forward without him. He sees his name spoken with disgust rather than fear. He sees what he truly is, not a president, not a healer, not a man blessed by God, just a tyrant who ran out of road. And in the end, that is perhaps the most important lesson, that every dictatorship has a beginning, every reign of terror has a middle, and no matter how long it seems, no matter how permanent it feels, no matter how many claim it will last 1 billion years, every tyranny has an end. The only question is how long it takes. And how many must suffer before that ending comes? The screen fades to black. The last sound is the clink of a marble dropping into a drum. Clink. The sound of democracy. The sound of hope. The sound of an ending that becomes a beginning.